I don't belong here. Sarah Chen pressed her worn canvas bag against her chest as the golden elevator doors opened to the penthouse restaurant. The glittering chandeliers above cast dancing shadows across marble floors so polished she could see her reflection, a tired 32-year-old teacher in a 5-year-old dress she'd carefully mended that morning. Her best friend Maya's voice echoed in her mind, "Just one blind date, Sarah. You deserve this." But standing here now, surrounded by women draped in silk and diamonds, Sarah's courage crumbled like chalk dust between her fingers. The hostess, immaculate in black, gave her a look that traveled from Sarah's scuffed shoes to her simple pearl earrings, a gift from her late mother. "Can I help you?" The words were polite, but the tone said you don't belong here. "I'm meeting someone," Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible above the soft piano music. James Mitchell." The hostess's eyebrows rose. "Mr. Mitchell is at the corner table. This way." Sarah's heart hammered as she followed, weaving between tables of people who looked like they'd stepped from magazine covers. She shouldn't have come. This whole thing was Maya's crazy idea, signing her up for that elite dating app after finding Sarah grading papers at midnight for the third week straight. "You give everything to those kids," Maya had said. "When do you take something for yourself?" Never, Sarah thought. Because there was never enough. Never enough money, never enough time, never enough of her to go around. Between teaching second grade at an underfunded public school, volunteering at the homeless shelter on weekends, and sending half her paycheck to her younger brother's college fund, Sarah's life was a careful equation of sacrifice. Romance was a luxury she couldn't afford. Then she saw him. James Mitchell sat alone, his profile sharp against the city lights beyond the window. Even seated, he radiated power, the kind that came from boardrooms and corner offices. His suit probably cost more than her monthly rent. Sarah's feet stopped moving. "I can't do this," she muttered, turning back. But the hostess had already announced her. "Ms. Chen is here, Mr. Mitchell." He stood, and Sarah's breath caught. Not because he was handsome, though he was, devastatingly so, but because of his eyes. They were uncertain, almost nervous, and completely at odds with his commanding presence. And they were looking past her, slightly to the left. "Sarah." His voice was warm, tentative. "Yes," she managed. He smiled, and something in her chest loosened. "I'm James. Thank you for coming." He gestured toward the chair. "Please, sit. I should tell you something right away." Sarah settled into the chair, confused by the way he tracked her movement by sound rather than sight. "I'm blind," James said simply. "Lost my sight in a car accident 5 years ago. My assistant set up the dating profile, she thought the photos would help. I probably should have mentioned it sooner. If you want to leave, I understand." The words tumbled out before Sarah could stop them. "Why would I leave?" His smile widened, genuine and relieved. "Most people do. They see the CEO title, the money, but when they realize I can't see them." He shrugged. "Apparently, it's a deal-breaker." Sarah felt something shift inside her. She'd spent the last hour feeling inadequate because of how she looked. But James would never see her worn dress or second-hand shoes. He couldn't judge her for the things that made her feel small. "Tell me about yourself," he said. "Your profile mentioned teaching." The question opened something in Sarah. She told him about her students, about 7-year-old Marcus who'd finally learned to read last month, about Lily, who came to school hungry every day until Sarah started keeping granola bars in her desk. She told him about the broken heater in her classroom, how she'd brought blankets from home, how the kids called it their cozy corner. James listened with an intensity she'd never experienced. His face tracked every emotion in her voice, leaning forward, laughing at her stories, his expression darkening when she mentioned the challenges. "You spend your own money on supplies?" he asked. "Everyone does," Sarah said. "Teachers, I mean. The school budget, well, there isn't much of a budget. But it's okay. The kids are worth it." "You volunteer too?" Sarah nodded, then remembered. "Yes. At a homeless shelter. Just on weekends. They need people who can listen." "Just on weekends," James repeated softly. "Do you ever do anything for yourself, Sarah?" The question struck her silent. She thought of her apartment with its second-hand furniture, her empty refrigerator because she'd given her grocery money to her brother, the vacation she'd never taken. "This," she finally said. "This dinner is for me." My friend Maya basically forced me. She says I need to remember I'm human, not just a teacher and volunteer and sister. She sounds wise. She's pushy. Sarah surprised herself by laughing. But I love her. The evening unfolded like a flower blooming. They talked about books. James had an entire library in audiobook format. About music, dreams, fears. James described how he'd rebuilt his life after the accident, how losing his sight had taught him to see people differently. I run a tech company, he said. We develop accessibility software. After the accident, I realized how much of the world is designed without thinking about people like me. I wanted to change that. That's beautiful, Sarah breathed. It's selfish, actually. I built tools I needed. But it helped others, so. He trailed off. Tell me about your students again. Marcus, the one who learned to read. Sarah's eyes stung. Most people's eyes glazed over when she talked about teaching. James wanted more details. She told him about Marcus's mother, working 2 jobs. About how Sarah stayed after school every day for a month, working with him, watching him struggle with letters that seemed to swim on the page until finally, magically, they clicked. The day Marcus read his first book aloud, he'd cried. So had Sarah. You changed his life, James said. I did my job. No. His hand moved across the table, searching. Without thinking, Sarah placed her hand in his. His fingers were warm, gentle. You gave him something priceless. You saw him. You stayed. Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks. When was the last time someone had seen her? Really seen her, not just what she could give, but who she was. I'm sorry, she whispered, wiping her face. I'm a mess. I wish I could see you, James said. But I can hear you, Sarah. Every word, every breath. You sound beautiful, kind, tired. When did you last take care of yourself? I'm fine. That's not what I asked. Sarah's composure cracked. I don't know. I don't remember. There's always someone who needs something more than I do. My students need supplies. The shelter needs volunteers. My brother needs tuition. My needs can wait. Can they? James's thumb traced circles on her hand. Sarah, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Do you know what I'd give to have what you have? That ability to touch lives, to make kids light up, to see the change you create every single day. You do that too. Your accessibility software isn't the same. I write code. You write futures. He paused. I want to help. Your school, the broken heater, the supplies. Let me do something that matters. Sarah pulled her hand back, sudden fear flooding her. No, I didn't tell you those things to. I'm not here for your money. I should go. She stood, grabbing her bag. Sarah, wait, please. James stood too, his hand outstretched. I didn't mean to offend you. I've sat through countless dinners where people want something from me. My money, my connections, my name. But you didn't even know who I was. You stayed because I'm blind, not despite it. You're the first person in 5 years who's made me feel like a human being instead of a checkbook. The raw pain in his voice stopped her. I'm the one who doesn't belong here, James continued. I've been sitting in this expensive restaurant, surrounded by luxury I can't even see, feeling completely alone. Then you walked in, and for the first time in years, I felt connected to something real. Please don't go. Sarah stood frozen, torn between pride and the desperate loneliness in his words that mirrored her own. I don't want your money, she said finally. But I would like to finish dinner. If that's okay. James's relieved smile was worth more than all the chandeliers in the room. They talked until the restaurant closed, until the staff politely suggested they might want to continue their conversation elsewhere. James's driver took them to a small park, where they sat on a bench and watched, or in James's case, listened to, the city breathe. I want to see you again, James said as dawn painted the sky pink. Not here. Somewhere you choose. Somewhere you feel comfortable. Sarah thought of the little coffee shop near her school, the one with mismatched chairs and the best cinnamon rolls in the city. I know a place. Tomorrow. I have school. And shelter work this weekend. Next week. Sarah smiled. Next week. James reached out, his hand finding her face with surprising accuracy. His thumb brushed her cheek. Thank you, Sarah, for staying, for seeing me. Thank you, she whispered, for seeing me too. 3 months later, Sarah stood in her classroom, watching James read aloud to her students. He'd insisted on volunteering, coming every Thursday to share stories. The kids loved him, clustering around, asking endless questions about his guide dog, about being a CEO, about everything. But mostly, Sarah thought, they loved him because he listened. Really listened. Just like he'd listened to her that first night. Ms. Chen. Marcus tugged her sleeve. Is Mr. James your boyfriend? Sarah blushed. Why do you ask? 'Cause you smile different when he's here. Like you got a secret happy. Out of the mouths of babes, Sarah thought. That evening, as they walked through the park that had become their place, James stopped. I have something for you. James, I told you. It's not money. It's something I need to say. He took her hands. That first night, you said you didn't belong in that restaurant. But Sarah, you belong everywhere. In classrooms and shelters and parks and yes, in penthouses too. Not because of what you give, but because of who you are. You taught me that I could be more than my disability, more than my bank account. You showed me that belonging isn't about where you are, but who sees you for who you really are. Sarah's vision blurred with tears. You showed me that too. That I deserve to be seen. Then let me keep seeing you. Every day. For the rest of my life. Sarah understood a heartbeat before he pulled out the ring. She felt it, the velvet box, the question hanging between them. I love you, James said simply. You are the most extraordinary person I've never seen. Marry me. Sarah thought of that girl in the elevator, clutching her bag, feeling small. She thought of all the times she'd made herself smaller to fit into other people's needs. But with James, she could be everything: teacher, volunteer, sister, woman, herself. Yes, she whispered. Yes, yes, yes. Marcus was right. She had a secret happy now. And it showed.